Hi, welcome to Comptroller's Corner. I'm your host, Pat Curry, joined as always by Buffalo Comptroller Mark Schroeder. The momentum continues for Buffalo's economy as IBM has agreed to bring 500 jobs to downtown as early as next year. Now, Mark, IBM plans to use its Buffalo facility to create cutting-edge software for the health, defense, and energy industries. This could provide Buffalo's burgeoning high-tech sector of its economy a real shot in the arm.
Yeah, this was an amazing announcement that our Governor Andrew Cuomo made, and so it will be helpful to the continuation of the other announcements that have been made, and it just shows, Patrick, the cooperation that is here in Buffalo especially. The governor and the mayor have been working extremely well together. We recently talked about the Riverbend opportunity where the mayor actually had to help clean up that brownfield, and then the governor comes in and brings in a project, brings in a manufacturer. The same thing has happened with IBM. This is an amazing opportunity that will have many jobs for the Buffalonians in particular. And I thought is interesting that when the governor made the announcement, he also identified the general manager from IBM, and his name is Michael Cadigan. Michael Cadigan is a product of Buffalo. He's a graduate of Father Baker High School, so maybe this could help Father Baker be canonized. This could be another miracle on the slate. And also, he's a graduate of the University of Buffalo. So I think these things are important because it takes a certain ability to get things done, and I think IBM has the commitment with the governor and the city of Buffalo, and it's just going to be something that's going to be beneficial.
Now, you mentioned the $1.7 billion Riverbend project, clean energy campus in South Buffalo. The governor also announced a $105 million genomic research and supercomputing center. This, along with the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus, can provide a new sustainable economy for Buffalo that could continue to grow for years on end into the future.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and this is what we're looking for. This is the reason why, quite frankly, I believe that Buffalo has been in the A category with the rating agencies. It's because we are governing. We are taking care of our finances. The rating agencies are certainly looking at the ledger sheet, but what they really want to know, are we departing from the old industrial past, of which we're proud of, but it's time to move forward. And I believe the economist from M&T Bank, he uses a very, Gary Keith, he uses a very clever, when he says eds in meds. And what he's talking about really is the educational products that we have here in Western New York, the 21 different universities, and the students and the employment opportunities here and what it means to the economy, and then what is happening on the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus and beyond. These are all things that are going to spur Buffalo's economy over the next 20, 30 years.
Now, you're presenting to the Municipal Analyst Group of New York soon, later this month, and you're going to be showing them evidence that Buffalo's economy is diversifying, and what used to be a manufacturing-based economy is now diversified, including health, education, technology, and other sectors, and they're taking up a bigger part of the pie than even manufacturing is nowadays.
I'm really looking forward to that, Patrick. That is going to be in the city of New York. It's going to be at the Yale Club, right in the Manhattan area. And in the audience will be approximately 100 people, mostly analysts, and also the hierarchy of the different rating agencies. And so it gives, and investors. So it gives me an opportunity on behalf of Buffalo to brag about what has been happening. And certainly I will talk to them about the numbers, but I think most of the presentation is really going to center in on the progress that we've made here in Buffalo, and that is what will attract investors to want to invest in Buffalo.
Another key component of Buffalo's health and what you will stress to the municipal analyst group is Buffalo's finances have really turned around in the past decade or so.
Yeah.
Someone on your leadership team has overseen the finances of Buffalo in one shape or the other over a very long career in City Hall. Her name is Forti-Sciarrino. She's your first deputy controller. Tell me a little bit about how the process of you making Ann first deputy controller and how important she is to your leadership team.
Well, Patrick, let me tell you, it was the first move I made and the best move I made. Ann Forti-Sciarrino has had a career in city government, and also she was the city accountant. And when I had an opportunity and I took advantage of it, I elevated her to first deputy. Her work is flawless. She is well respected within the employees of audit and control, the controller's office, but it goes beyond there. Everybody within City Hall knows her, respects her. She is somebody who has great integrity, very honest, very, very smart, and I think the viewers are going to enjoy the segment of you introducing Ann Forti-Sciarrino because she is very, very impressive and she just does tremendous work for the city of Buffalo.
I'm glad you mentioned this segment. We have a new segment on our show. It's called Meet the Management Team, and first up is First Deputy Ann Forti-Sciarrino. Stay tuned. I'm here with Ann Forti-Sciarrino. She started in the Comptroller's office in 1976 in an entry-level position as an assistant accountant. Over the course of her career, she rose through the ranks, and now she's the first deputy controller. Ann, how did you rise through the ranks from an entry-level position and now to the second most powerful position in the Comptroller's office?
Well, Pat, I started here in 1976, and I came in off of civil service list as assistant accountant. I think at the time I came in, there was a lot of opportunity to move ahead, though I got hired, and luckily I was both a good test taker and I had a lot of ambition. So I tried to learn as much as I could. We were pretty heavily during that time, CETA was in place. There was a lot of employees in the Division of Accounting, so they didn't really need as many people as they had. But I couldn't sit still, so I kept on asking to help other people. When people went on sick leave, I did their jobs. So I was able to move up. I started with accounts payable. I moved up into, they created a new position for project accounting. Grants was starting to get big then. They moved me to that position. Then I left the Comptroller's office for a period and went to the budget office to learn as a budget analyst. So that, as you realize, the budget office is under the mayor as opposed to the Comptroller. So that part of the financing was learning about how all the other departments operated. So the 4 years I spent there gave me a good insight into more globally what's happening all through City Hall. Then I took a test and came back as a supervising accountant. I felt if I needed my career to advance, I needed to get some supervisory experience. So I came back and I was a supervisor pretty much ahead of accounts payable side of the accounting office. And then from there, Comptroller Whalen asked me to come back and be the city accountant. So I came and he promoted me up to that level. I did that for about 3 years, and then I took a leave to have one of my children, took a 6-month leave. And when I came back from that, I went back to a civil service position, which then was the principal accountant. The principal accountant is in charge, oversees the whole accounting operation. So I did that until 2000 when Anthony Nanula came in, and he promoted me back to city accountant, which I did for all the years up until Mark promoted me to deputy controller.
And you mentioned Comptroller Bob Whalen, Comptroller Anthony Nanula. You also served under Comptroller Joel Giambra and Comptroller Andy Sanfilippo. How has Mark Schroeder's leadership skill changed the way the Comptroller's office has operated?
Well, I think Mark came in with a different background than the rest of the controllers I work for. I think most of them either grew up through City Hall politics and legislative roles. I don't think any of them really had the same background he has in managing people. As you know, Mark had a stint with the private sector and worked 25 years in sales and marketing. So I think where our accountants are such technical people, Mark brings the other side of it, where more emphasis on personnel and human services kinds of things. So with Mark coming in, we've really focused a lot more on the employees. We now have a Rowan Award that we give out every quarter. We do a lot more meetings with the employees. We're focusing on training the employees. He also had us create a strategic plan. We're looking ahead and trying to come up with different ideas. We're doing a lot more reporting to the general public. I think that is the real emphasis that's changed in this administration from the previous ones I worked under.
So, Ann, as the city accountant, you oversaw the accounting division. Now that you're first deputy controller, you oversee the accounting division, the division of audit, and the division of investment and debt management. How has that change affected your job's daily duties?
Well, I think the biggest change to me was in the accounting division. I was doing a lot of hands-on stuff. Now that I've moved up to first deputy controller, I'm doing a lot more, very little hands-on, much more mentoring, and I'm working with a lot of different divisions in the office, where before I really was focused only on accounting. Now I help work with the cash and debt and the audit also, so I'm learning. It's much more a global thing, but more of my time is spent in meetings, working with people, as opposed to actually doing a balance sheet or something like that.
So you're really looking at the whole picture and providing leadership to all three divisions.
That's correct. It's my job really now is to sort of mentor people and get them to develop. And is when I move off, when I finally retire, that a lot of the stuff that we've already put in place over the last 20 years will stay here, and I'm going to have people that can fill in those positions.
So the goal is to provide continuity so that the operation doesn't rely on one or two people, but that when someone retires or moves on to another position, that the department can keep on moving in a consistent and progressive way and keep on moving towards the goals that we set?
That's correct, and that was one of the reasons I think when Mark approached me to be deputy controller, I was a little hesitant at first because I really liked my accounting job, but I felt with where I was in my career, it would be the most beneficial to the whole office if I moved up to that position and was able to help in a lot of different ways.
Now, Ann, you're known as an expert in the Munis program, the accounting system that the city operates under. How has the role of technology changed since you first started your career?
Well, that's really interesting, Pat, because when I started with the 70s was when mainframes were just starting, and now where we've come technology-wise from there to today is really amazing. When I first started, people were still doing ledgers with writing ledgers with pens. They were also doing bank reconciliations with 10 keys. Your skill as an accountant was how fast you could use an adding machine. Mm-hmm. But from that point, we now have all our employees with PCs. We're doing most of all our own entry work. The other thing is that point, so from that standpoint, we're doing so much more technology-wise that all the rudimentary things that people were doing before, we don't need that kind of same skill level because the computers are doing a lot of the debits and credits, which everyone was hand doing before.
So the role of technology has actually increased the efficiency of the department and helped to have personnel focus on more important tasks?
Yes, I think now it's getting away from that. I think what we'll step back and sort of talk about when we went to the Munis system, which is the financial system we're on now. Before that, we had a lot of homegrown little systems. We went on to Munis, which was a package we bought from someone else. It was just a government accounting package that had all the controls already in place. So now we went away from having to do all this internal stuff ourselves to a product that once you put the transaction in, it did all the accounting behind the scenes for you. So now we can really focus more on presentation and analytic stuff, so it's making our job much easier and to try to find out why we have variances.
And the Munis program, at first, not every department bought in, and all the other agencies of the city of Buffalo weren't participating in that. But now it seems that more and more agencies and departments are buying in. The Urban Renewal Agency just bought into the Munis system, the Sewer Authority, and you're looking at tax and assessment participating in this program as well.
That's correct, Pat. I think any new system, there's a lot of pushback when you try to change it, and I did spend 1 year of my life, I think, working on getting the kinks out of Munis and defending it. And now that was in what we had to go on for Y2K compliance, so we went on it a little faster than we were really ready. But now we are also, the advantage of that is that we have one system that's all integrated, so you're not spending a lot of time reconciling between a lot of little systems. So now the new emphasis is really trying to bring tax and user fee on, so they will now be part of our same financial package. And then we took over the Urban Renewal Agency, doing some HUD processing, so we're getting them to come on as another group in Munis. So we'll have more of our information in one platform, which just makes it much easier to analyze information and also to do reports and stuff.
No, and you are a member of the American Society of Women Accountants, and you actually served as president of that organization. How has the role of women in the workplace, especially in the accounting field, changed since you started your career in the 1970s?
Well, Pat, I think just like technology really grew in the last 30 years, the role of women has really improved also. I don't know if you know, but I went to Mount Mercy, which was an all-girls school. When I went to Fredonia to get my undergraduate degree, I was often the only woman in accounting classes. So it was really a culture shock there. Same being when I came out of Fredonia and came to the City Hall, the thought was that women are most of the women, practically all of them, were, even in the accounting series, were of a clerical background. At that time, you could even promote up into the accounting series right from a clerical position. So a lot of them did not have degrees, even though they had the title accountant. So it was sort of a change for that. And that was one of the reasons I got so involved in women accountants, I think, because there was very few women in that professional level in each organization. Women accountants was sort of a place for all the women accountants to get together, compare notes, mentor, help each other out. So at that point in my life, it was a really important role for me. Now, coming forward, the number of women graduating in accounting is probably more than men, and you go to every workplace, and there's a very good support network for women in accounting. So I think that's really how it changed there.
And even when you started, you got some resistance by employers who thought you should be a typist rather than an accountant, correct?
That's correct. When I first started, I came to work the first day, and the person that I was assigned to was upset because I wasn't a good typist. That's what they wanted, someone to be able to type checks pretty much instead of doing accounting work. Mm-hmm. So I got through that hurdle, and I think there's a few times in my career where there was still some pushback for men who didn't really want to work for women, and somebody actually made that comment at one time. But I've been able to, move ahead, and I think your work ethic comes out, and that now it's really not. People aren't looking at what your what sex you are. It's really what you can do for them.
And your rise through the leadership of the city parallels the leadership of women in general in city government and in accounting.
Yeah, I would guess that's right, because I think as the transitions happened with women, and I was rising at the same time that they were growing with the background. When I got out of high school, I bet half the people I went to school with didn't even go to college, and then the other half went to either teacher and nursing. I mean, that was the two places. Now a lot more women are in the business community and interacting with a lot of things.
What advice would you give to somebody who's interested in starting a career in City Hall?
Well, I think, first of all, I think City Hall is a great place to work, as is any other government or civil service. It's a whole different structure in that everything is generated by exams. So you have to be a good exam taker, but I think it offers a lot of opportunity, and I think now we're seeing a lot more professional people coming this route. It also gives you job security, gives you a lot of benefits. I don't know if you know, my husband was a CPA and worked a ton of hours. It gave us a structure because I was only working from 8:30 to 4:30. It's most of the positions until the appointed ones are all union, so it's an 8-hour day. I think it gives you a lot of benefits for women, especially raising a family at a certain part of your life, because you get that structure that you can leave at a certain time.
And also, once you take the test and you get a permanent position, that position is yours, and you have some protections there.
Yes, you have a lot of protection in government. First of all, there's civil service rules that dictate how you can promote up, and then there's union protection, so you can't get laid off for pretty much anything.
And that's pretty important when you consider the amount of turnover in the leadership structure in government, whereas there could be a new commissioner or a new executive coming in each department, and it gives the employees some protection that, even if a boss comes in who they don't have a great relationship with, they can still keep their position and work hard and rise through the ranks through the civil service program.
Yes, Pat, that's correct. I think that's the big reason why civil service came to be, because it was supposed to take the politics out of the regular workers in a government. I think one of the things you come across with civil service is if you're a certain title like senior accountant, all senior accountants get paid the same, even though different ones may have a different amount of work that they're doing. I think you have to one thing you have to be able to get through as a civil service employee is you have to be know you're doing a good job, because we can't reward people the same way we report you don't get a bonus if you do more work than anyone else. Everyone gets paid the same. So I think internally you have to know you're doing a good job.
Where do you see the accounting division and the comptroller's office and government accounting in general headed in the future?
Well, I think government accounting has changed immensely also over this 30-year period. When I first started, the internal government people were really pretty much cutting the checks, doing the transactions. We always have to have an audit done every year by an outside public accounting firm. They pretty much did the whole thing for us. We would hand over our numbers, and they came back and did the whole document. Well, with Sarbanes-Oxley and stuff, now the accounting firms cannot put together and also audit. So now a lot of that government accounting stuff has been put back on our onus. So we need a lot more technical people, a lot more people that understand all the rules to how to put back financial statements together. And in fact, they even changed how they did the financial statements. Now they're trying to make them much more like an outside corporation. We now have government-wide financials that we had to pick up a lot of stuff on our financials that we never had before. Pretty much before it was just revenues in and cash out. Now we have to pick up our fixed assets. We have a lot of, OPEB is a big thing. We're now picking up all our liabilities going out. So I think the amount of work that goes into our financials has really gotten a lot better or hard, a lot more complex. And also, we're now doing a lot more as far as sending out things to people. We're now giving out reports, so a lot more transparency in government. So I think people are very interested in the backbone to how we get our numbers, where before I think there was no notice to that at all.
Now, Ann, 10 years ago, the city's finances were in very poor condition, and we were under a hard control board. Now, in the past 7 years, the city's actually won awards from the Government Finance Officers Association for excellence in financial reporting. How did the city right its financial ship and the way it reports its financials?
Well, I think, Pat, that was one of the biggest accomplishments I had as, I think, a city accountant at the time. We had, they have an award that they give out depending on what's in your financials, and it took us a lot of years to get to the point, because first of all, you have to have an unqualified audit opinion, and some things were going on with fixed assets and stuff that we didn't have everything in order the way they wanted it to. And then the document has to be put in such a structure that it gives all the information that a taxpayer would need. So I think for us to get to that point, both having stronger results and also being able to get a document together that met all the qualifications of the Government Finance Officers Association was a big accomplishment for us.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on Comptroller's Corner, and thanks for your service to the city of Buffalo.
It's my pleasure.
Certainly a long and distinguished career for Ann Forti-Sciarrino. She's pretty indispensable to you, Mark, in your function as city controller.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And so she is involved. Patrick, she is what I would call a technician. And so when there are important, intricate things that need to be done within the different divisions of the controller's office, whether it's accounting, where she came from, or auditing, or debt management. She always knows, and in fact, one of the things that I've done over the last 25 months is that I have the responsibility of signing a lot of documents. I will not sign a document unless Ann Forti-Sciarrino looks it over first, and that protects the city, and because of her great knowledge. This is why it's important to have bench strength. This is the reason why when her and I first got started 26 months ago, we only had one certified public accountant. Now we have 7. We're working on number 8. This is the importance of having good management, and I'm so glad we featured Ann Forti-Sciarrino today on this show.
And we're going to be bringing other members of your management team, the city auditor Kevin Kaufman, Bill Ferguson, the city accountant, and the investment and debt manager, Greg Szymanski, as well as your special assistant to the controller, Claire Waldron, who works on many special projects for you.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a segment where I am extremely proud of all of the people that I've brought into the controller's office. This gives me an opportunity to present them to the public. The public are the people who elect me, controller. I'm an elected controller. And so therefore, I do believe it's very important that the people of Buffalo know the type of leadership and the type of management team that we've put together over the last 26 months.
Now, Ann Forti-Sciarrino grew up in South Buffalo, but now she lives in North Buffalo. You were recently in her neck of the woods for the Hertel Business Association meeting. Tell us a little about the message that you brought to the business owners on Hertel Ave.
Yeah, Hertel Business Association is pretty amazing. They have been together for some time, and they have special programs like the Italian Festival and other things. But if you go up Hertel lately, you will see that there are so many businesses, and they're so very much involved. When I went to their meeting, they start precisely at the right time. They have an agenda. There were 25 people, 25 businessmen and women in that room. All have a stake. They're all stakeholders on Hertel Avenue. And so one of the things, Patrick, that I've noticed, and you know from my experience with founding the Greater South Buffalo Chamber of Commerce, I have an affinity for business organizations and for them trying to help the community, especially the business strips. And so I've made it a point to visit 4 or 5 different business organizations, and certainly over the next year we'll be able to talk about them as well. But I just want to congratulate the Hertel Business Association for their good work and for their dedication to the business community, especially at Hertel Avenue.
Now, Mark, we only have a minute left, but I did want to discuss the Shamrock Run. This is the 8K or 5-mile run. That's the start of St. Patrick's Month, which lasts the whole month long in your neighborhood of South Buffalo. So you just ran it over the weekend.
My hands are still frozen.
A former marathon runner, this should have been a walk in the park for you.
Yeah, it was tremendous. Now, it was the 36th anniversary of the Shamrock Run, and I've participated in every one except for one, and I've run in every one except for one, and I'm telling you, Patrick, it is unbelievable the amount of people, 4,000 runners from across Western New York, Erie County, Buffalo, Southern Ontario, who come here. And when the race is done, they don't go home. They stay in the neighborhood. They go to some of the restaurants. They go to some of the attractions close by the old First Ward. But the event, really, when you pay your money to be in the race, it is to try to help the Old First Ward Community Center. They have a senior component, they have an after-school program, they have all sorts of things that are helpful to people within the city of Buffalo. So when everybody comes together and runs the Shamrock Run, and it is the beginning of what we call St. Patrick's Month. We're in the South Buffalo area, but it's a celebration for all in Buffalo and Western New York. And the Laura Kelly, the executive director of the Old First Ward Community Center, and her team, they do a tremendous job in attracting people from all over Western New York to this race.
Well, Mark, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
And thanks at home for joining us on Comptroller's Corner. Make sure to check out the City Comptroller's website, as well as our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Twitter handle. Thanks for joining us in Comptroller's Corner. This is Pat Curry signing off.